Everyone, my name is Denise Brown from caregiving.com. Thank you so much for joining us today. This is the National Caregiving Conference. This is our first session of many to come throughout today and tomorrow that we're live streaming. This is not the only session that's happening. We have 5 other sessions throughout the conference center. So we have family caregivers and former family caregivers as well as professionals who are in other rooms learning, connecting, sharing. So we're going to kick off with our technology panel, and Claudia Cook from Live Home is going to get us started. Okay, go for it, Claudia.
Okay, thank you, Denise. A big round of applause for Denise. This took a lot of work. So I hope you all have a great time today. All right, I'm going to first start off with a game, okay? We're going to have a little participation here. I am thinking of a 4-letter F word that I hate hearing when I call my aunt out in California. What F word do you think it is? Fire! Yikes, yeah, fire. That's not what I'm thinking of, but that's a good one. Fall, that's a good one.
Fine.
Fine. Okay, you've heard my presentation before. All right. So it's fine. When you hear fine, that really doesn't tell you what's going on, right? The person could have fallen, your loved one could have fallen, maybe they didn't get up on time, they're disheveled, they have a bruise. You don't know what's going on when someone says fine. So it's been said that 55% of communication is visual. So right now you're at this conference, and if you call up your loved one you're caring for and they say, oh, don't worry, I'm fine, honey. Good luck. Okay, so we're going to talk about some real simple technologies that are simple, low cost, and readily available to find out that the person's more than fine, to truly get a sense of what's going on there. So as you know, when someone's living in their home, there's a lot going on, and as caregivers, you know, you're doing most of the work. The healthcare system, oops, hold on. The healthcare system, the healthcare system does some of the stuff, but really what you're doing at home is pretty much all of the work there. There's a really good slide up there. All right, see, isn't that good? All right, so most of the work is being done by the caregivers, by all of you. It could be making sure that they're eating, that they're not lonely, that they get to their doctor's appointments, that they're communicating with loved ones, all of those different things. So there's simple technologies that can really support you in your role. All right, let's see if this works. Does that work? Perfect, okay. AARP came out with a study last year talking about that there truly aren't enough caregivers, enough family, friends, and paid caregivers to actually take care of all of those Americans needing help. There's something like 67 million Americans who won't have someone to help them. You know, or if you are caring for someone, most likely you're going to be caring for 2.6 people. Good luck with that, you know, 0.4%. So it's really, technology can really help enhance your role and leverage your role to care for all of those people you need to. In AARP's study, it also talked about, well, do caregivers really want technology? They sure do. Over 70% of them said, yes, for those available technologies out there, yeah, I'm interested in it. Just let me know. And when they asked, well, do you actually have these technologies? Less than 10% actually had them. There's a number of reasons why they did not have the technology. One being cost, right? You think, oh my gosh, I'm going to get that robot. You know, no. There's real simple stuff out there. There's apps, there's products online that you can get. They think it's going to take too much time to learn it or to figure out where to buy them from. There's just some very basic barriers that we can overcome by just letting people know of what else is out there. I've put together a two-page resource list that's on the app, and I have extra copies up here. It's basically a place to start. You know, there's so many different things out there. It's like I've taken the ocean of all of these apps and products and devices and really put it into a 6-pack for you with this little resource guide. Because you just need to know where to start, and you need to be able to just know that, okay, there's some realistic stuff. They're not recommendations, it's more of a suggestion for you, okay? You definitely need to do your homework. But I do recommend you look at this. So I want to give you a little story about my Aunt Diane. She's out in California. She's 85 years old. She just lost her husband who had been caregiving for her. She's got Parkinson's, she's lonely, she's depressed, she's not really taking her medications, and she lives far away from me. So I worry about her all the time. When I call her up, she says, "Oh, I'm fine." So that's pretty scary. So what I did was I set up some really basic low-cost technologies for her to give me peace of mind, because a lot of this technology can give you peace of mind when you're not there, and it also can relieve some of the stuff that you do. So the first thing I'm going to talk about is the MedMinder. Any of you heard of MedMinder before? Okay, good. So this is a simple product that will, if you sign up with pillsandbeyond.com, it's an online pharmacy that'll sort all the medications for you, put them in a little cassette that you easily put into this, device. This is what the device looks like. It'll be free delivery. You put it into the device, and then MedMinder, they will help program the times that you need to take your medication. For instance, you have to take it at 9 o'clock, 12 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 6 o'clock, okay? So what happens is it beeps, or it blinks at you first when it's time to take your when my aunt has to take her medication. If she doesn't see it, it'll then make a noise. If she still doesn't take it, then it'll call her, and it can have my nice voice saying, "Aunt Diane, please take your meds." And if not, it can also text or email you to email me to let her know she didn't take her meds. So this is a really simple way to deal with sorting all those medications. You don't have to go to Walgreens, pick up your medications. It'll be delivered to you. And then it reminds the person to take their meds. And then a really cool thing I found was it gives you a 4-time-a-day check-in. It gives me a 4-time-a-day check-in to know that my Aunt Diane's doing okay. Because if she doesn't take her 3 o'clock meds, well, something might be going on, which leads to my second product. And I don't get any commission on this, okay? I'm just giving you some ideas. The second one is a camera. Does anyone use a camera like this in their home? Yeah? So I've got, so for my Aunt Diane, what I do is I've set this up. It does need an internet connection, but when she doesn't take her meds, I can go from my smartphone and check in on her. What's going on? Is she on the floor? Because she really doesn't wear her lifeline. I tell her to wear it, she doesn't wear it, okay? So this gives me visual cues or visual into the house, and I can talk to her, she can talk back. The last product I'm going to talk about is something that the company that I work for, Live Home, they've integrated this into our services. We provide caregiving services, the paid caregiving services. But what we need to do is support caregivers out there, whether it's families like you or our paid caregivers. Sometimes they're in over their heads. There's a lot that goes on. For instance, we had this one client who was with our caregiver. The client had dementia, and she was paranoid. She thought our caregiver was poisoning her food and her medications, so she stopped eating. Well, we could have had our care manager go through Chicago traffic to give her, to help her eat, but instead we had a Connect advisor who was able to FaceTime in or do a video call in to say, "Okay, Mrs. Jones, let me see the food. Okay, move it around. It looks okay. Okay, take a bite. How does it taste, Mrs. Jones? It's good, right? It's okay to eat. Your food is safe." The second thing, let me look at your medications. So the client moves her medications, holds it up to the camera there. It looks okay. Your medication's safe. Mrs. Jones, you can eat and take your medications. It's okay. So our client began eating and taking her meds. We're in the home 24/7 whenever you need us. You just have to press the call me button, and then our Connect advisor comes on up. They have the care plan, they know the history, they know the meds, they know a number of things, and they're able to support you. Wouldn't this be nice to have in the middle of the night if you're concerned, well, what's going on, or you have a question and you don't really know? It's nice to have someone there, because oftentimes the caregivers are out there pretty lonely and isolated. So this gives you a chance to have a connection and have someone else help triage a situation for you. Other things, you've got calendars on here. You can have a survey, how are you feeling today, or if you need to monitor your blood sugar or your weight. If it's something outside of the parameters that your doctor told you to pay attention to, it'll make a call to Diane, or it'll make a call to the nurse, or the Connect advisor, and she can reach out and let you know that something's going on. It's outside your parameters. Please check with your doctor. When my Aunt Diane uses this in California, I've got an app on my phone where with a one-touch button, I can video call her, maybe have breakfast with her. I can send her messages, upload pictures of my 3 kids, add calendar items, and also get a care journal. So when this Connect advisor actually talks to her and has a concern, she can then let me know, and I can ask this Connect advisor what's going on. So these are really simple technologies that are very low cost and readily available for you. So just keep in mind some of these things that are listed on this list and online on Amazon or their websites. These small changes can really make a big difference, so you know that your loved one's more than fine. Thank you. Here you go. Thanks.
Good morning, everybody. So my name is Carl Hirschman, and I'm the founder of CareTree, and I've been in the caregiving and senior housing technology space for almost 10 years now. With the first company that I started, we built Wi-Fi networks for student housing and then senior housing communities nationwide. So we got in when the technology was just starting to go into senior housing before the iPhone was even out, and have been continuing to innovate and adapt since then. And then about 5 years ago, my mom came to me, and she was telling me about the challenges that she had as a family caregiver, carrying around that 3-inch binder full of medical records in case a doctor had to be called, communicating with the caregivers, playing phone tag with the rest of the family spread out across the country to give them updates about what had happened. And we couldn't find anything out there that solved her problem. And so that's where we set out to create CareTree. And we wanted to create a central place where everybody could communicate and coordinate in one place. And we also knew that it had to be both valuable to professionals as well as consumers, and be really easy and intuitive to use. So we took a lot of our design cues from Facebook. There's 2 billion people on Facebook. 80% of US adults are on Facebook. So the odds are if a person is using the internet, they are at least familiar with Facebook. And that's worked out really well for us. I had one family member say, I'm a 4 out of a 10 when it comes to technology, but I haven't had to ask you one question yet about how to use CareTree. And then we provide all of the tools for a consumer to be able to communicate and coordinate with professionals or family members. So if you don't have a live home professional, that's a great technology they've created. You can communicate with your other caregiver, or if it's just family members, everybody can communicate and coordinate in one place. You post a message in the software, and it'll actually push out a text message or email to the entire care team. So with my family, you'd have these chain emails and these chain text messages, and then we'd forget my cousin who's a nurse. She wasn't on this text message, so she didn't have the information. And so this solves all of that. Everybody gets communicated what they need at once. You can then keep track of medications. There's a centralized calendar, centralized repository for all of the documents. It's all HIPAA compliant and permission restricted. And then we also built a unique tool So hospitals have come a long way in their technology adoption, but they still don't share their records very well. Fortunately, they were forced to create EMR patient portals where you can log in and view your medical record. The challenge is grandma is seeing a dozen different doctors, each with their own login, and she's not going to remember any of that information, but that'd be really useful for you and your family members. So we built a tool where you can centralize all of those credentials and then with one click log into any patient portal in the country so you can see what happened at that doctor's appointment when mom or dad says, I'm fine, and everything was fine. We then put it into a care plan or face sheet, which they can then provide to doctors. We actually built in faxing technology. But the reality is physicians and medical providers, they have to keep everything HIPAA compliant. So they don't want you to email them. They don't want you to text. But they readily accept faxes. And so instead of you having to pull the fax machine out of the 1990s, we built the technology in so you can click a button and it'll automatically fax it to the doctor. And you can have everything organized and placed on the refrigerator if you need to. As we built the technology, we had to take a step back because we actually found that a lot of family members, when they arrive on a caregiving situation, it happens in an instant. There's a fall, there's a diagnosis, and everything is changed, and you don't know where to start, and it's just trying to tread water from the deep end. And so we decided to build a technology to try and help you at that point. So when you first enter the caregiving situation, it's not even, am I a caregiver yet? It's, mom needs help. What type of help might she need? So we built a care assessment. And you can actually take this on our website, caretree.me. And all of this is free for families to use. And what this does is it takes you through a series of questions. And out of that builds a care plan recommendation. With best practices, as well as products and services that may be able to help you in your caregiving situation. So we were talking before about there's all of these great technologies and people don't know about them. They don't know which technology might help their unique caregiving situation. And so this care assessment actually tells you, based on your unique situation, these are the technologies that might help you. These are the apps that might help you. These are the general best practices that you should be taking, and here is where you find the PULSed document or the advanced directive for your state. And then we found the next problem, which was you had all of these technologies, you had all of these tools, but people didn't know where to buy them. And you had to go all of these different places to go get them. And so that's where we built a marketplace. So then you have one place where you could buy all of these caregiving products that you might need. So things like pathway lighting. It's a $16 LED motion detecting light. So you can put that up around the home so as they get up in the middle of the night, it lights the hallway so they can get to the bathroom safely and you don't have to worry as much about trips or falls in the middle of the night. The assist a tray. It's obvious. Like, this is something that would be convenient for me sitting next to my couch as an end table, but now it's also built in a way that it can assist in getting up out of a chair or a couch. On-call. So on-call acts as a hub. So if mom or dad doesn't have an internet connection, you can actually connect Bluetooth and Wi-Fi enabled devices to it, and it'll act as the internet connection and send those weight readings, glucometer, pulse ox, all of those readings to you, and it'll also act as an emergency response button if you need it in the home. And it's designed so that it doesn't feel medical and intrusive. It's designed to look like an old radio or a piece of high-class furniture, so they don't mind it sitting on the bookshelf, and it doesn't make them feel old. So that's a great technology that we've put onto there. And then there's also tons of apps out there. So as you're looking, depending on your unique caregiving situation, you can find many apps. We refer to some of these in our care assessment. We just have the products in the marketplace, but there's things like Coro Health. It's like a Pandora for Alzheimer's, with clinically backed studies supporting it. iGeriatrics, a simple app where it's got the beers, medication, protocol, a number of other tools. MyFitnessPal. So if somebody has diet restrictions, this has all of the diet information. You can scan something with and look it up by the barcode, put together the meal plans, and understand how much sodium, sugar, carbohydrates, whatever anybody needs. You can figure that out. Smokey. Smokey is not a caregiving app, but it's actually an app that you download on a phone or an iPad that runs in the background. And if it detects a smoke alarm going off, it'll actually text message you. So then if mom or dad is cooking or doing something else, you can get alerted with that app. Well, that's not listed under the caregiving resources that somebody's typically looking for, but really helps provide that peace of mind. So if you have any of the technologies that we haven't covered, if you're looking for, or if you've got great ideas and products that you've seen out there that have helped you, please let us know so we can help other caregivers find out about those in the marketplace. We are building a program where we can actually have you help refer other people to the products in the marketplace, because you guys are the experts. You are the people that people turn to. And so this gives you an opportunity to kind of build a business off of that as well as just helping other caregivers in their situation. So thank you.
Hi, everybody. You hear me okay?
A little louder.
A little louder? Is that better? Okay, sorry. I've never been called soft-spoken ever. So I think my perspective is a little bit different than the first two presenters in that I started out my entire career as a technologist. I spent 20 years, I started as a programmer, actually coding stuff. So I'm like the epitome of the nerd. Like, that's what I did. I didn't give in any fashion that I realized at that time. And so 20 years of telehealth integration, video integration, EMR integrations. But it was easy to do that because it was bits and bytes and connecting data. I didn't realize the data that was going through is about blood pressure medications and glucose readings and maybe about somebody who is on their way out of this world with us. And so the impact that was making and what I was doing really didn't connect with me because I was just a technologist. I'll avoid using just at some point. So, which one is her? Thanks. Or not, I just turned it off.
Okay, do you want to help? Anyone?
Next one doesn't matter. So,
Just seem to turn that off.
I turned off the thing and the entire video.
Okay, we'll get that going if you want to keep.
Next slide. So the next slide is this really cute picture of my adorable family on it. So you'll see in a minute. So I thought it was really important to tell you a little bit about me because I'm exactly like you. Like, all of us have ribbons on today for either someone we're helping or someone we're not helping anymore. And the one above it, though. So a little bit about my family and how I got here. I have 4 children, so I'm busy. 4, 6, 8, and 11. And my kids are amazing, and they're all really cute, which you'll see eventually. The little redheaded girl and that. And I was running along in my life. It was a great life. I was a technologist. I was super advanced in my career to the point it was kind of embarrassing. But I literally, giving birth to my 4th child, I was texting my office, medication's good, and they couldn't hear any noises. So I'm like, don't forget, do this, don't forget, do this. So I wasn't really present in the caregiving of my children as much as I am now, or I would have liked to have been. And so right after that, my position was eliminated. We found out one of my children was diagnosed with autism. My dog died, and then my other dog died. And my father and my stepfather both had heart attacks. And I got that 2 a.m. phone call that if I didn't get there now, I might not see my mom again. It literally all happened within 3 months. Texting the office seemed a little less important to me at that point because I didn't have an office because I just got fired. But I also had some really big emergencies that I didn't know that I had to deal with. And so the reason I got involved is perfect. The reason I got involved in the caregiving experience was because, like the rest of you, I got a 2 a.m. phone call and now I'm a caregiver. But I was really frustrated because I don't remember if you recall at the very beginning, but I'm a nerd, right? So I should be able to find any resource ever. People seek me out when they have a business problem that's really weird and hard, and I find the answer. I'm super sleuth. And then my mom needed help. And my mom is young. My mom's only 58. Very young, very, very ill, currently in hospice. Thank heavens we found the resource. And poor, very, very poor. She's been medically ill for 10 years. And I'll be gosh darn if I could find out what I needed to find to help her. I searched everything. I searched everything that I knew. But my perspective was a freaked out, overwhelmed, oh my gosh, my life is crazy. My mom is going to die if I don't help figure out a way for her to get her medicine. Not the best frame of mind to be searching for apps. And even with that, searching, holy crud, help me, mom, sick. I didn't know I was a caregiver. I didn't know what caregiving was. I was a medical transfer of data person. And it was very frustrating. And I literally say that, and I mean this, I accidentally tripped and fell into a resource. Like in the middle of the night, I probably was so exhausted, Google helped me out and gave me a better word to search for. And I found the ADRC, which is the Adult Disabilities and Resource Center. And I called them and they helped. A long story that doesn't matter so much right now. And then I found Denise Brown's caregiving consulting piece, and I actually went to that training, and it was like this weird epiphany where I realized that I was a caregiver, and I didn't even know it. I wasn't just a parent or just a daughter, but I was a caregiver in the middle of this crazy, chaotic world, and I couldn't help anybody, and I'm a nerd. I'm a well-paid nerd that can't help. It was really, really not empowering, to say the very least. And so when I realized there was a big problem I needed help solve, I might have to rethink my solution when I leave after hearing about all the good stuff these guys have. But in the meantime, I was like, I can't find the resources I need, so how do I find the resources I need? And so I started working on an application to allow me to do that. And actually, I'm not going to talk a lot about the app because it's not the point of the conversation. What I want to talk about is how I found what I actually needed. And this is, some of you must be technical or at least looking for technical solutions. There's this thing called SEO, it's search engine optimization. It's essentially the internet's way of knowing that the thing you're looking for is in that web page. I bet they've got some great stuff, what these guys do. But it doesn't know what I'm searching for because I didn't know what I was searching for. So I think the number one problem with technology is the same problem that I had and that many of us might have had is we're looking for an answer based on maybe a diagnosis, right? So I have an autistic child as well in the middle of all this fun, and I couldn't find anything because I'm like, autistic kids that can't talk that make poop collages. And people laughed because it was funny, but not really every day, but it was still funny. And so I ended up finding out was you have to start looking at the impact that your life and your caregiving experience is having on you and search for those answers. So the first one is this app, similar to Claudia, but the Reminder Rosie, parentgiving.com. This thing is awesome. All the marketing materials are for people who are forgetting, Alzheimer's, dementia. It creates a verbal alarm clock. So it goes off at 9 in the morning instead of going, it's like, yo, grandma, get up. You got to go to the bathroom. Please, I don't want to clean anything up. And it's your voice, it's your reminder, it's your words that you know that they'll use. Oh my goodness, I have a nonverbal child, or she's verbal now, interestingly verbal. She doesn't care about a beep at all. But if we don't get her in and out of bed and into the restroom, we really do get poop collages. And they are a lot of mess to clean up every single morning. This thing goes, Jackie, or Zoe, get up and go to the bathroom. So search for what you need help on. Similar things, Leapfrog pen I use, it's good for me. She's nonverbal, but she can now be verbal. It talks. It's an educational tool, right? Safety net tracking is essentially the GPS to find your loved ones, mostly marketed towards Alzheimer's wandering. My kid's a runner. She'll go anywhere, and I can't find her because she doesn't talk. So the impact. Proloquo 2 is very specific to autism, but it shouldn't be because the impact is different. And a few others I'm happy to talk about later because my time's running out. So essentially, my point is try to rethink the words that you use to define your situation and rethink the words that you use to define your need. Don't look for the diagnosis, because a diagnosis, just like in medical lies, sometimes they diagnose them wrong. Look for where you're struggling, and you'll be surprised at what you find.
Very nice, thank you.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Andrew Cook. It's nice to see you here this morning. Y'all hear me well? Excellent. Anyone download the caregiving app? That's excellent. Isn't that awesome? All digital, no paper, way to save the environment. That's a part of caregiving that we have to consider. I'm going to go ahead and click really quick. Okay, so I am a current family caregiver. I'm an expectant family caregiver, and I'm also a professional caregiver. And in this past year, I have learned to expand my definition of caregiving. One good example I have is my client that I currently work with has a progressive motor neuron disease. And from his neck down, he's progressively becoming weaker, now about 5% mobility. And 2 weeks ago, we pulled out a blowtorch, and he held it, and he lit it, and we did some soldering and wiring for his wheelchair. Well, who would have thought that was part of caregiving? I didn't expect that. And we got to talking, and I asked him, so what are some common themes that you find in caregiving? With technology and caregiving. And he came to me with 4 promises, and he says, with technology's promise is that it will foster independence. It will help you make a meaningful life. It will also fail you, and you will need to have a backup plan. So as much as we try to put our energy and our time to create solutions that work for us, we also have to think of, well, what if this doesn't work, or what if this falls? And I'm sure as caregivers we do a lot of time, or spend a lot of time worrying and thinking and creating plans. So I understand. I want to kind of shift our paradigm as we're talking about technology. On one hand, we can look at technology as these battery-operated devices that are machine-made, that really don't decompose, and that if they break, you might need a professional to have them repaired. And so the paradigm I want to challenge and flip is maybe technology is not about these devices that we can't make and we can't create ourselves, but technology in the sense that we can bring it into our own hands, that we can get our hands dirty, that we get our hands greasy, that there'll be blood, sweat, and tears. Well, that's what caregiving is all about anyways. But maybe technology here can be handmade. Maybe it can be a basket. Maybe it can come from the earth. Maybe it can return to the earth, and maybe it can decompose. Because who seems more technology technologically inclined, the person who can plant their own garden and resource their own food and resource their own equipment such as baskets and other utensils around the house, or someone who's required to go out and get something that doesn't decompose. So that's just a challenge, a shift. And that kind of leads me to a video I want to share. So a website I want to encourage you to go to is makeyourownlifts.com. And this is Dr. G and Ruby, one of the individuals I work with. And I'm going to go ahead and play a video for you.
Which robs me of my strength. It's a progressive disease. It just keeps getting worse. I've been an engineer all my life. I'm challenged with problems, so my life challenge now is how do I continue to exist? And I've come up with a number of ideas and contraptions that make it possible for me to do these things that you need to do every day. The contraption that I have that I call the sweet spot is my lift mechanisms. Sweet spot because they're extremely useful for me. They're inexpensive. We're talking $150 in parts, maybe a couple $100 for a handyman to install it for someone. The bottles keep the rope and the cable in tension, keeps them from tangling. So most of the hoists I have it's all about lifting me up from one situation to another. So it's typically from a scooter into a different scooter, or from a scooter to a shower stool or a toilet, or lifting up from the scooter into bed, or from bed back to the scooter. The first time I used a lift, it's a little bit concerning, and you kind of like wonder if everything's strong enough and it's going to hold. I've looked at the stuff carefully enough and looked at the load factors, and there's plenty of safety factor that I'm comfortable. But I've been doing it so many times now that it's just a natural being lifted up. I mean, it'd be scary having a guy pick me up and he's going to drop me. But after you do it a while, you get used to it, and it's like, all right, this is just how I have to exist. Now, fundamentally, I just need a lifting force upward. I use gait belts, wrap a strap around my torso, clip it into one of the lift stations, and then push a button to get lifted up. Once I'm up, either I can wiggle over to a chair or the edge of the bed or whatever, or somebody could pull me over and then down. Once I get into the new situation, release the lift mechanism. The cool thing about it is the stuff is inexpensive. Anybody that is in a situation like mine could hire a handyman and build these inexpensive devices to get in and out of bed or on and off the toilet, etc. So I'm putting together this video to show that there are possibilities for people to build their own assistive technology stuff, or have a handyman build it for them. So all of my designs and plans are online on the website, and you're welcome to use them, modify them as you wish.
And it doesn't stop there. There's dog alarms, there's contraptions that I've helped work on that can lower the blanket or raise the blanket when he no longer has the ability to do this. There are a number of different devices that you can come up with that suit your particular needs. I encourage you to take caregiving into your own hands. Take technology into your own hands. Get your fingers dirty, because they're washable. And I think that's all I have for now. Denise, would you like to come on up? Oh, yeah. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Andrew. So I'm just going to talk about Jibo for a minute, and then I'm going to ask anyone that has a question to come on up. There's a microphone. You're welcome to come on up and ask the panelists any questions that you have about technology. So I brought Jibo. So I partnered with a company called Jibo Inc. Oh, Jibo. And this is Jibo. So he's a robot. He's not on right now, but I can turn him on if anybody's interested. Come to the registration area later. He's connects to a Wi-Fi. and he's a device for the family. And what's interesting about Jibo, he's a little heavy, so I'm going to put him down. What's interesting about Jibo is to think about how can he help us during caregiving. So at some point, will he be able to remind us for meds, be the backup for our caregiving? You know, take videos, take moments in time that are important to us. Right now, he has the ability to take photos, and he converses. So for instance, I will say, good morning, hey Jibo, good morning. He responds to, hey Jibo, and he'll say, good morning. I've said, hey Jibo, good night, and he'll wish me a good night's sleep. Before I went on a trip, I said, hey Jibo, I'm going out of town, and he told me to drive safe. So he has a relationship with you. And one of the things that I think happens with technology is we wonder, can we trust it? So if we have a relationship with technology we trust, does that help us use it more, use it in different ways? So Jibo's new. You can purchase him. He's $8.99 at jibo.com. And Jibo is spelled JIBO.com. And you can go to the website, look at videos. What's interesting is he was developed by two women. So a scientist with MIT, and then her business partner who cared for her daughter. The other thing that's interesting about Jibo is that he's not a device that's specific to a certain situation. He's appropriate for all situations in a family. So he can help kids, he helps us, and he can help our carees at some point. That's in the development stage. So I just wanted to bring him today to show you what other kinds of technology is out there. And again, I'll have him at the registration area if you want me to show you more about him. Okay, so questions for our panelists? And again, we do have a microphone, so feel free to get up and ask any questions that you might have. Ann, are you coming up, or are you just getting your water? Okay. No, she's just, sorry, Ann. So I'm just curious, did you like the technology that you heard about today? Okay. Okay. And was there any kind of technology that you heard about that you were particularly interested in? CareTree. Oh, CareTree. Carl, okay. Interesting. And what's great too, Carl was here last year. Do we have any second timers? Do you remember? Yeah. Do you remember Carl from last year? Yeah. So what's great about Carl is he gives us such a nice overview of what's out there. And I think part of the problem too is how do you know what's out there? It's hard to know. And we want word of mouth, right? We want someone else that's used it that said, it works, here's how I use it. I think that's so critical. That's why it's so important to have a panel discussion about technology, to talk about how we use it, why we use it, right? And what problem does it solve? Okay. Okay. Come on up to the microphone.
Here's my situation. Is that close enough? With
Yeah,
my father.
yeah,
Okay.
you're good.
So he's had a lot of mini strokes, and so he gets very frustrated. And even with the voice, what's that?
Voice to
recording.
text.
What is that word? I'm sorry. You know, when you leave a message on the machine, you know, he'll start pressing buttons and doing all kinds of stuff and messing everything up. So how am I going to get technology, which would be great to have, because that would make me feel a lot more relaxed at home with the camera. I think about that all the time. Mom just collapsed at home and she was fine. It turned out to be a urinary tract infection and everything's fine. But it would have been nice to have been right there to see what's going on and hearing to know what's going on. But he's going to be around pushing all the buttons he's not supposed to be pushing and messing it all up. There's my
So it's a question.
caveat with the getting technology inside the home.
So it's his phone that he's having a hard time using.
Yeah, so if he's having trouble with the phone, how is he going to handle
And is it a landline or is it a cell phone?
cell phone?
Okay.
So there's a couple of different options there. On the phone specifically, Great Call is a phone provider, and they have senior-focused phones. So they have the flip phones with limited buttons.
Okay.
And then instead of actually having to figure out how to use the phone yourself, it actually has a help button where you can call into their customer support, and their customer support will do everything that is needed to be done on the phone.
And
Now,
he's hard of hearing, so he's not going to be able to understand what they're saying.
well, and
Have great caption call here.
So I was
Transcribes.
trying to figure out how I can get that in the home without him pressing all kinds of buttons and he's not supposed to be.
really, there's not many buttons on a lot of these. And like the camera, there's actually no buttons.
All right.
So as long as it's plugged in, and there are Arlo, ARLO, I believe is the name. It's a battery powered camera, and so he wouldn't even be able to unplug it from the wall then. And so there's a lot of different solutions in those regards. On your iPad or your iPhone, there's guided access. And so if you triple click the home button on your phone, it'll turn on a locked version of it. And so you can restrict the buttons that they can touch and what it'll do.
Okay.
I use this for my twin 3-year-olds, so they aren't clicking on the ads or going out of Elmo and emailing people. But it works for somebody else who you, again, want to restrict their ability within the application, so then it can stay on.
Good. These are great, by the way. And we're trying. My husband's a software developer, so it's not going to be the trouble figuring out which is the best that they can work with, and he'll do all the research. But it's like, how do I do it without him messing it up? So those are really good solutions. So
Yeah, and I would have
Thank you very
a
much.
similar one. So my situation is the same. It's an impact difference. I
Right.
have an autistic child who destroys everything, like pulls everything out of everything all the time. And we have a caregiver at home when I'm not there. So we have cameras high enough where she can't destroy it. That is two-way communication. There's also very similar to what he was saying too, is the GrandPad, GrandPad, is a very, very limited device that's targeted for seniors that has like one button to call, one button to answer, one button to video chat. It's very, very simple. It's very inexpensive. I believe there's Comfort Keepers might be here as a sponsor, and they have linked up a GrandPad as well, so they might be able to give you more information. But that one's fantastic because you can still do everything he wants to do, not take away his independence or take something away, but it's a one button to keep them. You can't destroy it. That is two-way communication. There's also very similar to what he was saying too, is the GrandPad, GrandPad, is a very, very limited device that's targeted for seniors that has like one button to call, one button to answer, one button to video chat. It's very, very simple. It's very inexpensive. I believe there's Comfort Keepers might be here as a sponsor, and they have linked up a GrandPad as well, so they might be able to give you more information. But that one's fantastic because you can still do everything he wants to do, not take away his independence or take something away, but it's a one button to keep them connected and safe, but not confused.
thank you. And then Denise, somehow I'm going to have to find people here that have that technology in their home of their people that they're caring for, and how they got them to allow that technology in the home without seeing it as a negative impact on their pride or their ego, or you're spying on me. So that's what I need to hear from people, how they handled that. So to merge those two things would be great. Yeah.
So you might want to stay for our next presentation, which is about decisions, because sometimes you have to get buy-in
Yes.
with a decision. So I think that Tyler and Liz will talk about decisions.
Great.
Yeah, because that's part of it, right? How do you get the buy-in?
Right.
Yeah.
Thank
yeah.
you.
Okay, thanks, Ann.
And one of the ways that we've seen people get the buy-in is by fostering the independence. So the robotic vacuums, that's a great piece of caregiving technology where now mom or dad can say, I vacuumed today. And the vacuum, but the chore got done. And so now they can say that, hey, I'm being independent with this. I forgot my bag of tricks in technology, but Claudia was great enough to bring hers. And do you want to explain Mother a little bit?
Do we have time?
Yeah, we'll take 1 minute for Mother, because I'm not going to say no to Mother.
So Mother might be another technology. So this connects to your Wi-Fi and it acts as a hub. And then you can put these little peanuts or sensors around the home. So your dad might not notice this sticking on something. And what it can do is you can completely customize the programming on whether it senses motion, temperature changes, etc. So put it on the refrigerator door. And if the refrigerator isn't opened so you don't sense the motion on this, it could send you a text message or an email. Same thing, put it on the coffee pot, put it on the front door, put it on keys, put it on the remote. The temperature one, you could put it by the front door. So if the front door gets left open and you're worried about wandering, then it could send you an alert with that. And again, it's just this little piece of plastic that you're putting around the home. So it's not going to be noticed. It doesn't feel that intrusive. It doesn't necessarily feel like a camera that's watching them if they're opposed to that. And with the cameras, use it with the grandkids. I've seen many seniors that have gotten onto Facebook. They don't care about communicating with you. They care about communicating with the grandkids and seeing their pictures. So put the camera in the home so that you can communicate with the grandkids, and then they're going to allow that in there.
Okay, and I think we'll close, but I think our panelists are going to stick around, so they'll be available if you have questions afterward. And we're going to take a break. We're going to come back in about 5 minutes, and I just want to mention that our bold wall is up. So when you do something bold here at the conference, take note of it. There's markers. You can also, if you need more room, we have, what do you call those things? Erasers. It's not high-tech enough for me. Okay, so we have erasers and markers. So help yourself to writing a bold moment. And if you did something bold to get here, like asked for help, receive help, please let us know that too. And if you write something bold on our wall, take a photo of it too, to remind yourself that you have boldness in your heart and your soul. You are courageous. So grab some coffee, tell us a bold moment, and then there's sessions that are happening at 10 o'clock, and then our caregiving in the workplace continues at 10:30 with me. So if you want to see me, you can go to E. How about that? Okay, thanks everybody, and thanks to our panelists. Great discussion.
Thank you.